So welcome. We're just going to give it a few minutes for folks to come in from the waiting room. I just want to say it is very cold here in New Hampshire. So if I look a bit bundled up, it's because I am. Hopefully you won't hear the wind howling in the background. So I see various pets arriving in our space. Entertainingly, my cat is not here today, or at least at this moment. My name is Suzanne Woodland, for those of you who haven't been here before with me. So I am one of the several students of Lama Suridas who's been given the opportunity to share a bit about my practice with you and lead this Sunday morning meditation town hall session. I have not pinned my big face to the Zoom screen. Obviously, if you would like to, feel free by going into your settings and making my face large in the background of all my little Buddha figures in the background. You're welcome to do that. I personally tend to love the sense of Sangha that comes with the gallery view, but really whatever is working for you in this moment, feel free. So I'm going to start with some quick public service announcements, so to speak. So this is a reminder that next Sunday we'll have that daylight savings time adjustment. So be mindful of that on Saturday night and Sunday morning as you get ready to kind of plan your Sunday, hopefully with us here in this sacred space. Also, there are still operational costs for kind of this platform that we all enjoy that brings us together. So if you are in a position to help, donations are always welcome to help maintain this platform. So thank you in advance for anything that you can provide in that space. So before we get started, since we already have started by showing up in this space with all of us together, take a moment and kind of take in the fact that we have this community of practitioners right here, right now. So right now I'm seeing the number 62 is popping on my screen. I see a number of faces that are familiar to me from our collective practice together, some names that are familiar to me, and it is lovely to see you, to see your names, to know that you're here. I think there's so much value in this collective coming together, virtual as it is. So thank you. So we could just take a moment, maybe sit with a few minutes of gratitude for the fact that we have people to practice with, to be in this space. And we may not know each other, but yet we do, right? Because we're here and we have an intention to practice together. Just sitting with that sense of gratitude for company, for community, for Sangha. I bow to the Buddha in your seat. So as most of you regulars know, Usually our first stop, or one of our initial stops on this journey of our time together, is to set our intention. And for me, just showing up is a big part of that setting of intention. Getting myself here at any time on my cushion to practice is a very intentional act. And so take a moment and kind of rejoice in that intention that you've already brought to this space to show up, to be here, to be seated. Like, this is Yahoo! You have done the hard work. Rock stars. Yay. But as is traditional within our practice here in this group, we will do a little chanting together. Or not. If you're not chanting, you can just take it in. All right, so let's just start. And I think we'll just do the English for right now. May all beings possess happiness and the inner causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the inner causes of suffering. May all beings remain undivided from the sacred joy, which is free from suffering. May all beings come to rest in the great peace and equanimity, beyond attachment and aversion to friends, enemies, or strangers. Yeah. What a lovely expression that is, that intention. So I thought today we'd dive right into some practice. And I want to start by really letting us rejoice in, rely upon, really the body as this vehicle for showing up and being present. So Tsongkhapa says, it's got this beautiful line that says, the human body at peace with itself is more precious than the rarest gem. This human body. And what I find incredibly supportive and useful about this human body, even with its aches and pains and failures, is that it can be such a helpmate to our practice. So last week, Kelly Amadei sort of did some alternate nostril breathing, a little bit of our Tibetan energy yoga to kind of clear the energy channels, to get us really ready. And it's our helpmate to being present, to using the body, to being present. And I thought what I'd do this morning is remind you, probably because most of you have had, I think, some practice, right? Remember those early instructions we had about sitting upright, kind of getting the energy aligned, this noble uprightness. So we're going to actually just, for those that would like to, invitation, take a moment And let's really work on uprightness. So for me, it's always making sure I have the right height, so that my hips are definitely higher than my knees, because I sit on the floor in a half lotus, I guess you'd call it. Now, this is not to say that one can't and shouldn't practice in all kinds of positions, right? I mean, in the ideal world, I could be upside down, and I do occasionally do handstands and like to hang upside down on gymnastic equipment with my kids or grandkids, case may be. But there's an advantage to that uprightness. So take a moment. And what I have found helpful, and the many times I've sat through beginners' practices, always good to go back to the beginning, I think, sometimes, or when I'm leading beginners, is to look for that uprightness. And I can kind of go back and forth. I'm exaggerating. There's a little bit, a lot back and forth rocking. And if you kind of then slow that down, like let it naturally go from bigger to smaller, there's this sweet spot of quiet and alignment that if you're really paying attention to the body, it's going to tell you when you've hit that sweet spot. So in kind of the Tibetan energy kind of models, there's this energetic channel right behind the spine, from your seat up to the top of the crown of the head. And we're going to just try and tune into that sense of energetic uprightness. Then you can kind of go back and forth, front to back a little bit. Again, I'm exaggerating for this purpose, but normally it's very subtle on my part. But there's at some point you feel this kind of sweet calm, but it's an energetic calm. Kind of cool when you find that uprightness. Almost like there's a little thread at the top of the head. So you feel very grounded and yet upright. I've done some ballet training, dance training, and there was always that sense of uprightness, that lifting. Now this is where permission, you've got to listen to your own body. What is upright and feels healthy and kind and energetic for me is going to be different from you. And then you get to kind of check in, how are my shoulders aligned? Am I leaning a bit forward, too far back? Is the head balanced on the top of the spine? So what I like about starting my practice this way is I'm kind of marshaling the energies, taking the scattered bits and pieces, getting them aligned. It's kind of like my first step of really arriving in this body, in this moment. So there is definitely some intentionality here, some marshaling. You can check in how that head is positioned. I personally like to start with my chin a bit tucked to bring the ears over the shoulders, because for me, that is the most effective way for me to marshal the energies before I get into the more relaxed, open states. So again, it's the body. We can use it as we need it. So after we've kind of come into this lovely alignment, whatever is right for your body. Then relaxing around it. It's as if we're, one of those old-fashioned clothes trees, wooden clothes trees often, and you could hang a jacket on the clothes tree. It's almost like you're hanging all of the rest of the body in a relaxed state off that central channel that's just nobly upright. So letting the weight drop into the chair, the cushion, and then starting to relax around that uprightness. And relaxing everything. The fingers and the hands, toes. The jaw. Invitation. Relaxing. Ooh, upper back. Got some stuff in the upper back. Mid back. You can bring the breath. Nice deep breath. Maybe relax a little further into the lower belly, lower back, lower dantian, hara. Maybe take those nice, say 3 intentional deep breaths. Letting the belly expand. Exhale. Letting go. Second nice deep breath for me. Opening up that lower abdomen. Expanding. Exhaling. Letting go. Just allowing everything to relax around that central noble uprightness. Third time can be the charm. Allowing that belly to expand all directions. And then let go. So just resting the attention in the body right now, just that upright posture, but relaxing all around that sense of uprightness. And really all we're doing is just gathering the thoughts, the energies. So gentle little focus and attention. Kind of preparation. Natural breath. Natural breathing body. All right, I'll count to 3. And when I hit 3, see if you can allow yourself to relax a little further and let go of the attention on the body and just be. See what happens. Enjoy it. 1, 2, 3. So just resting, relaxed, and just being. Open, relaxed. Just letting the comings and the goings arise and fall, pass away. And as you'd like, check in with the whole of the body again. Bring that intentionality. How does the body feel? Does it still feel upright? Does it feel relaxed? So you can go back to the body again and again as your helpmate. This precious body. Use it to gather the energies. And then even without an external counter of 1, 2, 3, you can do it for yourself. I'll do it again. So gather the energies, feel it in the body. I'll count 1, 2, 3. Relax a little further, and then let go of the intention to concentrate on anything. And just open. 1. Feel the body grounded, aware. 2. There it is. 3. Let go. And here you can even lean back. Open the eyes. Open the mouth. Open the pores of the skin. Open, open, open. Take it in. Fullness of the moment. Letting go, letting be. Feeling free to ride that out breath. And as often as you need to, just come back to that breathing body if you've traveled off. There it is. There's that breathing body. Find your seat. Pull the energies together. Invitation. Find that uprightness. Find the breath in the body. No shame in having to come back again and again. And then when you're ready, it's 1, 2, 3, relax and let go. And be. And again, no shame or frustration in having to come back to that breath in the body again. Be seated. Find the uprightness. And then when you're ready, or not, let go. And rest. And things just as they are. In case you can't tell, there's a lot of joy on my face at the moment. Hint, hint, you're allowed to experience joy and bliss. Even in the midst of chaos. Feeling free to ride that out breath. No working too hard. The work was showing up. All right, we're going to bring this part of the practice to a close. So we can do a little reflection work at the end here. So this is the one bell and not the three bells. A little transition. So I'm in the doctor's office for a little surgical consult Friday afternoon, and I'm fine. There's no big problem. Just may need to fix some things that are broken because I'm old. And in the background, they've got the news on Friday afternoon. Now, if any of you happen to be, kind of reading the news in the last few days, you could understand there was some excitement happening in Washington. Well, I'm in the doctor's office waiting for a surgical consult. Thinking, well, that was probably not a really good choice on the part of the doctor's office to put the news on in the background. That being said, it kind of led me to this offering, right, that I'm going to share with you. So I've been practicing for a really long time, and some of that practice fairly intensely. And I still get a little surprised by, sometimes that unskillful speech still pops out from time to time, or I have these anxieties, particularly around my failing body parts. I'm not really good with doctors. I don't tend to go to doctors unless I really need to go to doctors. Just kind of not my thing, and my thing, right? It's hilarious in some ways. And so I get a little surprised, like, wow, after all these years of practice, I still have this response. And what I've learned, though, is that sense of radical acceptance and love of being okay with what arises. Now, that doesn't mean I want to feed it, or act on it. But it's how I work in that space when, whether it's anger or frustration or some other strong, generally feeling emotion kind of arises in the body or in the mind, and it gets caught. And so I wanted to offer this up to you on how I approach this, and I think many who've been around approach this. And first off, I've been practicing a long time and it still happens. So, okay, it does. But here's what I do with it. And I also sometimes love a little poetry, because this has been going on a long time, right? Learning to be with sometimes the difficult states, right? And I personally love Rumi. So I'm going to start with a Rumi poem. And it's one many of you have probably heard before, but like great poems, you can always hear them again. And this is Rumi's The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Love Rumi. And so if you look at a fair amount of literature out there, this is actually this advice from Rumi from long ago, invited in, is as valid today. It's just we use more different words around this teaching. And really, when those kind of strong emotions like fear, oh, I don't like doctors, I don't like my failing body, learning to hold those, this is arising, those experiences in kindness. It's amazing how much we can do by holding what arises in some kindness. It has arisen. You know, there's that, back when I started on this practice, that tends, oh, I shouldn't have that experience. I shouldn't be feeling that. And then you try and kind of like shove it away or do something that's really unhelpful with it, as opposed to, oh, it exists. Hold it in kindness. And it just gives it a spaciousness. And the minute you start to do shame, frustration, or even anger that you're having this experience, you've kind of separated yourself, not only from the experience and your ability to deal with it more effectively, but you're separating yourself from others. Holding it in kindness. Doesn't mean you have to act on it, but it's an acknowledgement, a kindly awareness. And then what can help is a little tender curiosity. And I use the word curiosity rather than trying to solve the problem. How do I not have this again? But just a little curiosity. Oh, how does this feel in the body? I wonder why this is so strong. Like just that really tender curiosity without needing to come to some solution of how to not have it again. But really, kindness and curiosity. And it's amazing because when you can bring that to what is arising, those strong like anger, frustration, fear, shame, whatever, those strong separating experiences, it gives it some space, and it's just like magic. So particularly in times that can feel kind of in upheaval or maybe are more triggering than others, this is your invitation. So whether you like Rumi's language, the language of the poets, or a more kind of psychological kind of approach, a more modern approach of how we kind of work with the strong stuff that comes up. Different approaches, ways in, kind of work it. But, kindness, and that little bit of curiosity can be really helpful. How does it feel in the body? Oh, what happens if I breathe into it? And it's funny because I work full time still, and I don't know how many times, because people come to my office. I both do management and I'm a lawyer in local government, and people will come to my office over the years, and they'll come and they'll share something, because mine tends to be a safe space, and they'll share, I lost my temper at the kids again, and I wish I didn't do that. And there's all this like anxiety and shame about that, because I know it's something they've been working on. They've been working on more patience and different ways in. And when you give them permission to be okay with the fact that frustration arose, and they can have some kindness for the fact that frustration arose, you can watch the relief in the body. There's that distance. It's like, oh, I had it. Now, I'm not a psychotherapist. Hopefully you all, if you need one, have one. That they're very lovely, very helpful at certain times and places. Love, shout out for therapy. But even in that act of just friendship, because I was in a non-judging space, I love you still. Could you be with kindness for that? And you could see kindness as he's working on a way to differently respond to events that are triggering. Kindness happens all the time. Happens all the time. So, like I said, these are interesting times. Even no matter which side of the fence you might sit on politically, interesting times. And I think it's really helpful as the energies are kind of coming up, and mine happen to be all mostly now related actually to the body, like, oh, there's that again. Just watching, feeling, wondering, there it is. And just not judging. And that's the beauty of, frankly, the practice that we're doing, right? It's that letting things arise, not necessarily needing to act on them, and letting them pass away, because they don't really exist anyways. Like, I am no more my thought and my worry and my anger. So that's the beauty. And I thought it would be really helpful to just kind of give you that moment in that space when that stuff arises. Sometimes I think about just literally wrapping up that anger, that hurt, that fear with almost that blanket of kindness. And wow, it's like, okay, now I can breathe. Now I can find the space to be skillful in how I want to move through the world and into the next space. And I'm comforting myself. Because we're part of that, taking care of others means also taking care of ourselves, right? So if we can give kindness to other people, we can do it to ourselves too, right? And just that edge of curiosity as opposed to problem solving, that kind of like, I wonder what this is like. Oh, I wonder. Okay. But without having to solve it, remedy it. I will say this, over time, like I said, I'm old, I've been doing this for a long time. That kind of meeting with kindness and curiosity, it has lessened the number of times I have those strong responses, or it really has changed that I don't act on them, or I don't say something unskillful that's really not going to be helpful in the moment. And it really has helped that. And it keeps me from being separated from others, either due to shame or anger. It just drops away so quickly. It's really lovely. But that's what it takes. It actually takes that kindness and acceptance and non-judgment Because if you can do that for yourself, you can do it for others. Yeah, that's the real kind of funny thing there. Yeah. So mindful of the time. I've got 5 minutes. Let's just take a moment. I'm not going to pull anything up. Let's dedicate the work that we've done today, our practice together. So in your own way, just open up. Dedicate this time, this work, anything you take away from this for the benefit of all beings. And that way we can have a few minutes. So for the benefit of all beings, for the welfare of all beings, until the end. I'll ring the bell to formally close us out, and then we'll have a few minutes. So in these last couple of minutes, I'll give you the reminder again about daylight savings time next week. If you want to put a question in the chat or just raise your hand or share something, you are welcome to do so because we have a couple minutes. And while you do that, I'll read you a couple little roomy bits just to kind of, because I'm in a roomy space right now. And this is one that first got me into Rumi and poetry in particular, because I'm late to poetry. It wasn't until I started doing Dharma practice and then all of a sudden, like, oh yeah. So here's one. There is some kiss we want our whole lives, the touch of spirit on the body. Seawater begs the pearl to break its shell, and the lily, how passionately it needs some wild darling. At night, I open the window and ask the moon to come and press its face against mine. Breathe into me. Close the language door and open the love window. The moon won't use the door, only the window. Yeah. Or how about this one? We have another minute. The way of love is not a subtle argument. The door there is devastation. Birds make great sky circles of their freedom. How do they learn it? They fall, and falling, they're given wings. So I'll stop there. It was lovely to practice with you today, as always. And I hope to see you all next Sunday. I don't know who's leading, but it doesn't matter. I have all of you. Just really a delight. So take care of yourselves.